up, everybody? Welcome to SA Boxing Talk. Here with Hayden Jones, and yeah, again, let's get straight into it. Let's talk about Eddie Reynoso's comments on Artur Beterbiev and Canelo Alvarez situation. Before we get there, though, may I just mention that Canelo in our minds has exploded. He's become this person that cannot be beaten. He's unbeatable at the moment. That's just the way he's been built up now. And no one's unbeatable, but he just has that feeling like Kovalev doesn't have a chance here. I was watching another boxing channel, talking about Canelo, and that's a Boxing Talk with Eddie, another good boxing channel, and he was just saying about he gives Kovalev a 35% chance of winning this fight, and that's pretty realistic, to be honest. It's but the 65% is just such a big 65%, that's just my belief, and I'm sure many people believe that, Kovalev can win, but Canelo's just got something. He's got something else, man. They're making us believe that he's just something else, and it's it factors down and it pushes down to the media, it pushes down to everyone, which is kind of and it's blowing up in Canelo's favor. But I just wanted to get into what Reynoso was saying, and he was talking about Artur Beterbiev, basically saying that obviously Beterbiev beat I always say his name wrong, but I believe it's Glovsjek or something like that. I called it something else, and on my video that I analyzed it. But anyway, he's basically saying that Kovalev is the better option between Beterbiev and Canelo. And granted, Beterbiev, he's just won a big fight for the first time. When I say big fight, I mean unification fight, and he's achieved something really big. And of course, Beterbiev beat Kovalev twice at the amateurs. But Reynoso basically came back and said, "Listen, Kovalev's better than Beterbiev." Now, you gotta think wisely about that comment. Why would he say something like that? And the reason being, he would say something like that is because he doesn't want to downplay Canelo. Because if he has Canelo fighting the second best light heavyweights in the world, people will say, but you're cherry picking. You didn't pick the best light heavyweights in the world. According to BoxRec, at the time, Kovalev is the best light heavyweights in the world. I think Beterbiev is the more dangerous fight personally. I think a lot of people will think that too. But we cannot speculate. The fight's been made. We were all a bit shocked when it got announced because we thought the weight divisions, can Canelo do it? But anyway, let's look at the options if Canelo had to move back to 160. Obviously, Canelo didn't find it. The reason why he's a franchise champion now, so he comes and goes as he wants, which is a bit controversial as well. But if he had to go back down to 160, let's have a look at the options. You got Daniel Jacobs again. You got Jamal Charlo. You got Demetrius Andrade. You got Derevyanchenko. You got Gennady Golovkin for a third time. You got Ryota Murata. And you got now Chris Eubank Jr. kind of falling in there. So, you look at those names and, which fight would you want mostly? I think Jamal Charlo is a good one. And I think Demetrius Andrade is another good one. I'd like to see the Andrade fight. Andrade versus Canelo would be a hell of a skillful fight. And, I think that's the sort of fight. But again, Andrade's name is not pulling. But in today's day and age, Canelo's a pull on his own. Surely he can have that fight with Andrade. There's not many super fights out there. Gennady Golovkin is the natural super fight again. But yeah, and if he had to go down one weight division to 168, his options are Callum Smith, Billy Joe Saunders, Caleb Plant, and David Benavidez. All four winnable fights for me. Billy Joe Saunders perhaps being the trickiest opponent in that weight division. Of course, they were meant to fight how long ago? In the middleweight division, but perhaps at super middleweight they could make that fight. Billy Joe's got a good good British crowd, I should say. And, so does Callum Smith. But again, Billy Joe's probably just that little bit better than Callum Smith. Maybe a Billy Joe-Callum Smith fight somewhere in the lines. The other option I said was Caleb Plant and David Benavidez. Again, Benavidez is a serious talent. Don't think he beats Canelo, though. I know people are talking about him as a serious contender. Didn't really raise the roof in his last fight. And then Caleb Plant, I'm not sure if he's good enough to contest against Canelo, to be honest. But again, in boxing, you'll always be surprised. So that's the sort of thing. So the bigger fights seem to be at middleweight, and at super middleweight, there's that fight against Billy Joe Saunders or Callum Smith, which people want. We obviously saw what happened to Rocky Fielding in his Praymantis-like build. But yeah, the fights that I want, middleweight, Demetrius Andrade or who did I want? Jamal Charlo. Of course, Charlo questions, can he beat Canelo? But we want to know. We want to know the answers. And then a super middleweight, Billy Joe Saunders. And I don't even know if I'm that excited about Gennady Golovkin trilogy, because they've just aged Gennady Golovkin so badly that I don't think it even makes sense right now. Anyway, but maybe for the public in Mexico and Kazakhstan and maybe America, they want to see that fight. But yeah. Does he fight Beterbiev, which is the title of the video? Would he ever fight? I don't think they're ever going to fight each other. I think Canelo's going to fight Kovalev. I think he's going to beat Kovalev on points. And I think he's going to move back down to a weight division where he is more suited to. That's just my personal belief. Anyway, guys, if you have your opinion, you want to comment, you want to like, please do so. And please weigh in on the topic. I like to always know who you think's a good opponent for Canelo Alvarez next. And yeah, please subscribe to the channel if you're new. And if you've been here for a while, I really, really appreciate every time you're watching the videos and are contributing. Thank you very much. Alright, cheers.